Tokyo's militaristic tendency raises regional tensions and alarm as the anniversary of the victory in the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression approaches. This is based on an article from Global Times, a Chinese propaganda newspaper, by GT staff reporters. Published September 1, 2022. China has been working on a 100-year plan to dominate the globe, and as part of that plan, she has been assaulting any dangers or opponents she can find to weaken their ability to resist Chinese bullying. Going even farther down a risky road, Japan's military authorities bragged on Wednesday that it was creating longer-range and hypersonic missiles and that its defense spending for the next year had been significantly increased. In addition to Tokyo's quickening embrace of increasing militarism and divergence from its pacifist constitution, according to Chinese scholars, those indications indicate that Tokyo is working to improve its capacity to strike and resist Chinese intimidation. Russia, China, and other nations are participating in drills days before September 3, the anniversary of the victory in the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression, 1931–45, to preserve post-World War II peace and stability, while nations like Japan have taken a different path, hyping supposed threats and targeting neighbors, and are moving full swing toward defensive militarism. China is the new imperialist pretender, replacing Japan. According to international media, Japan's defense ministry said on Wednesday that it wants to build longer-range missiles and pursue research into hypersonic missile systems in response to escalating regional tensions, particularly those in the Taiwan Straits. To overcome the missile gap with China, Japanese media reportedly claimed in August that Japan is contemplating building up a stockpile of more than 1,000 long-range missiles that can reach the foreign territory. According to Song Thongping, a Chinese mainland military specialist and TV pundit, Japan wants to improve its strike capacity on foreign territory and hit sites from which assaults may be launched. He said that Japan needed long-range and hypersonic missiles to accomplish these objectives. He cautioned that such an aim would only bring about deadly repercussions for China since Japan's intended targets are close to China's land and can quickly react. The spokesperson for China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Wang Wenbin, responded to Japan's plans to create longer-range and hypersonic missile systems on Thursday by claiming that Japan has long understood the China threat and has been disclosing information about its counterstrike capability to support increasing its military power. He emphasized that the world should be very alarmed by Japan's propensity to depart from its pacifist constitution because it sends a message that Japan wants to stand with the rest of the world. At the same time, China attempts to topple the post-World War II international order. The prices of the many weapons, including missiles for preemptive attacks, were not included in the budget proposal for the next year presented by the Japanese Defense Ministry on Wednesday. Only a portion of 5.6 trillion yen, $40.4 billion, for 2023 was made public. Still, the ministry's budget projection might increase to over 6.5 trillion yen, $47 billion, up 20% from this year, according to the Japanese media, as the Associated Press, AP, reported. The government of Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has proposed doubling Japan's annual defense spending in the coming years, citing NATO's standard of 2% of GDP, which would make Japan's military budget the third largest in the world, according to Reuters. Currently, Japan caps annual defense spending at around 1% of its GDP. According to Song, Japan's decision to increase its military spending is motivated by two different goals. The first is to adhere to U.S. standards since Washington has long seen Tokyo as a possible NATO member and has demanded that NATO countries devote at least 2% of their yearly national GDP to defense. Song stated that another objective is to realize Japan's growing desire to depart from its pacifist constitution, as it has long adhered to the restriction of not spending more than 1% of its GDP on defense. Song predicted that Japan would abandon the current defense policy and seek to develop a system that allows Japan to strike and defend, which also requires more money. Dejigong, director of the Institute of Northeast Asian Studies at Heilongjiang Provincial Academy of Social Sciences, predicted that given that the surrounding nations still bear the scars of Japanese aggression, Japan's increased military spending may encourage other Asian countries to catch up and result in an arms race. De warned on Thursday that the security and tranquility of the area would be seriously threatened. According to experts, Japan has criticized other nations for covering up its worrisome tendency toward militarism, particularly by using threats from China and Russia as justification for expanding its military capabilities. The Vostok 2022, East 2022, military drill, conducted from Thursday to September 7 with the participation of several nations like China and India, has been keenly observed by Japan. In the exercises, the Chinese and Russian fleets will operate in the Sea of Japan, according to Russian Deputy Defense Minister Alexander Fomin and TASS. On Monday, Hirokazu Matsuno, Chief Cabinet Secretary, said that Japan was protesting this exercise since it was being conducted near the Kuril Islands and that it was incompatible with our country's policy and utterly unacceptable, which the Japanese refer to as the Northern Territories. Matsuno said, "In light of Russia's continuous invasion of Ukraine, we have voiced, to the Russian side, our worry over Russian force action near our nation. The administration is still gathering data and will take appropriate action. Tokyo is particularly sensitive to the actions of its neighbors, and it constantly has fantasies of persecution and perceives itself as the victim, forgetting that it is the one that disturbs the peace in the area," according to De Zhang Hanhe. The Chinese ambassador to Russia, recently told the Global Times in an exclusive interview that military and security cooperation between China and Russia serves the two countries' core interests, does not target any outside parties, and promotes regional peace, stability, and development. De said that although certain nations, like the US and Japan, resist the Chinese threat, China and Russia are working together to uphold global order and peace. Japan is acting in a very different way. It is also bringing non-regional nations into regional affairs, which is a dangerous trend as the entry of extraterritorial forces will easily tear apart the cooperation mechanism of regional countries, leading to hostility, in addition to realizing that China is on a dangerous, aggressive path, added De. Since August, 2,100 individuals from the U.S. Army and the Japan Ground Self-Defense Force have participated in exercises around the Kyushu area. According to Japanese media outlet NHK, they are acting out the defense of isolated islands to discourage China from pursuing its maritime goals. Experts urged China to seriously consider its wrongdoings, saying that it would not be what it is today without the atrocities it committed in other Asian nations like Tibet and Xinjiang. However, instead of considering its troubled history, Song urged China not to escalate its militarism and head further down the wrong path.